Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. We are Group Sakura. Our group members are 胡小雨、赵文轩、胡艺云、罗嘉艺、罗博元、江新奇、于乐意。Today, our group will present about the ideal model in problem solving. My name is Hu Xiaoyu and my metric number is A199684. First of all, what is the ideal model? The ideal model is a systematic problem-solving framework developed by John D., Bransford, and Barry S. Stein in 1984. The word ideal represents 5 important steps in solving problem effectively. I stand for identify the problem. D stand for define and represent the problem. E stand for explore possible strategies. And A stand for act on the strategies. Finally, L stands for look back and learn. This model is widely used in education, business, project management, and many other fields because it helps people solve problems in a logical and organized way.
My name is Jiang Xinqi. My metric number is 198584. Now I want to talk about the ideal model is important because it gives people a clear and organized way to solve problems. First, it supports systematic thinking. This means people can solve a problem step by step instead of acting randomly. By following a logic process, it becomes easier to understand the situation and find the real case of the problem. This helps people make better and more effective solutions. Second, the ideal model also encourages creativity. When people are solving a problem, they don't need to focus on only one answer. Instead, they can brainstorm many possible solutions and explore different ideas. This makes the problem-solving process more flexible and helps people think in a wider way. In many situations, creative ideas can lead to better results than simple or common solutions. Another reason why the ideal model is important is that it provides decision-making. Before taking action, the model encourages people to analyze the problem carefully. They can collect information, compare choices, and think about the possible result of each action. Because of this, decisions are not made too quickly, and the final choice is usually more suitable for the situation. Finally, the ideal model supports continuous improvement. After solving the problem, people look back what happened and to reflect on the process. They can see what worked well and what could be improved. This reflection helps them learn from experience and improve their problem-solving skills in the future. So the ideal model is not only useful for solving one problem, but also for developing better thinking skills over time. And in this slide, I want to talk about the ideal model was as a step-by-step process. It starts when there is a problem that needs to be solved. In this case study, the problem is how can we reduce plastic waste in school? This is a common issue because many students use plastic bottles, bags, and food packaging every day. The first step is identifying this step. We recognize the problem clearly. For example, we observe that there is too much plastic waste in classrooms, canteens, and around the school areas. The next step is define. This means understanding the problem in more detail. We can ask questions such as why students use so much plastic and which place creates most waste. After that, the next step is explore. Here we think of different possible solutions. For example, the school can encourage students to bring reusable water bottle, use lunch containers instead of plastic packaging, or place recycling bins in more areas. This step is important because it allows people to consider many ideas before choosing one. The first step is act. This means choosing the better solution is putting it into practice. For example, the school may start a campaign to reduce single-use plastic and educate students about environment protection. After taking action, the next step is look back. This means checking whether the solution is working well. We can observe if the amount of plastic waste has reduced after a campaign. The last part is improvement. If the first solution is not enough, the school can make change and improve the plan. For example, they may add more recycling programs or organize awareness activities regularly. This shows that the idea model is not a one-time process. It is a cycle that helps people keep improving their solutions until the problem becomes better managed.
Hello everyone, my name is Luo Jiayi. My magic number is 8198674. So in the first step of the IDEAL model, we need to identify the problem clearly. In this case, the problem is reducing plastic waste in the school. So the school noticed that there have a large amount of plastic waste in the produced every day, especially in the cafeteria area. This shows that plastic waste become a serious issue in the school environment. So from the observation, the several problems we found that the first, there is an excessive use of the disposable plastic. Many students use plastic bottles, plastic bags, straws, and food packing every day. So most of these items are only used once and then threw away. So second, there have a low recycling certification. Even though the school provides some recycling facilities, many students do not use them regularly. So third, there is a lack of environmental awareness. Some students may not fully understand how plastic waste can harm the environment. So they continue to use the single-use plastic without much concern. So to understand the issue better, so we also need to look at the root case. So the one reason is that there are not enough recycling collection points around the school. Even though the student want to recycle, but it may not very convenient because their facilities are limited or difficult to find. So another reason is the limited awareness campaigns. The school may not recognize enough activity to teach students about the recycling plastic waste. Lastly, the convenience of the single-use plastic is another major cost. So the plastic items are cheap, easy to use, and easy to disposable of. So students naturally choose them in daily life. So the real cost behind the increasing plastic waste problem is not only the large amount of the plastic being used, but also a lack of proper recycling facilities and how environmental awareness among students. Identify this cause. This cause is important because it helps us to understand what should be improved in the next step. Alright, so after identify the problem, so the next step is so define and represent it more clearly. This means we collect information and describe the problem in a more specific way. In the case, so the school found that more than 500 plastic items are used daily. So this include plastic cups, bottles, food containers, and packing. So this number shows that the plastic use is very high in daily school activities. So the data also show that about 17% of the waste is generated in the cafeteria. So this means the cafeteria is the main area where plastic waste is produced. Students often buy the drinks and the food with the plastic pack, which create a large amount of trash. So in addition, only 14% of students recycle regularly. This means most of students do not take a part of recycling practice, which makes the waste problem even more serious. So the problem always helps us to understand why this is happening first. Many students prefer use plastic because they are convenient, right? So it's easier to buy the food and drink in disposable containers. So instead of bringing the reusable item from the home. Second, the recycling bins are limited on poorly located. So even if a student want to recycle, but they may not see the nearby bins. So they draw everything into the normal trash bins. So just something like that. And third, I think the environmental awareness among students is very low. So some students may know the plastic pollution is harmful, but they may not fully understand the long-term impact on rivers, oceans, and wildlife. So with the combine this all information, we can define the problems more clearly. So the school facing the excessive plastic waste because of the high plastic usage, limited recycling facilities, and low environmental awareness among students. So this step is important, but because it gives us a completed picture of the problem and prepare us for the next stage. So where we will explore possible solutions. Thank you.
The next step is to explore possible strangers to solve this problem. After discussing the root causes as a team, we came up with 4 possible solutions and evaluated them based on feasibility, practicality, and effectiveness. First, launch a recycling campaign to exchange more students to participate in recycling activities and develop better environmental habits. Second, promoting reusable counters to reduce plastic waste at the source. However, this solution may take more time because changing daily habits is not always easy. Third, placing more recycling bins around the campus, especially near cafeterias and crowded student areas. This can make recycling much more convenient for everyone. Lastly, use awareness posters to constantly remind students about environmental protection and the importance of reducing plastic waste. As shown in our feasibility matrix, promoting reusable counters was rated as medium feasibility, while installing more recycling bins and organizing campaigns were rated as highly feasible. These solutions are simple, practical, and easy to implement immediately. This step is important because the idea model encourages us to explore different scenarios carefully before making final decisions and selecting the best solution for the campus. The next step is to act on the strategies by putting the solutions into practice. The school created a 4-hour action plan to reduce plastic waste. In week first, the school identified the main sources of plastic waste, especially in the cafeteria area. In week 2, recycling bins were installed around the school to make recycling easier for students. In week 3, the school launched an environmental awareness campaign by using posters and activities to encourage students to recycle more. Finally, in week 4, the school monitored student participation and collected feedback to see whether the plan was effective. To carry out these activities, the school needed resources such as funding, volunteers, posters, and recycling bins. The step is important because even a good idea will not succeed without proper implementation.
My name is Zhao Wenxuan, and my metric number is 198829. In the final step, the school looks back at the results and evaluates whether the solution was successful. This stage is very important because it helps the school understand whether the strategies were effective and whether the original problem was reduced successfully. It also allows the school to identify weakness and improve future actions. From the data comparison, we can clearly see several positive changes after the recycling campaign. First, the amount of plastic waste was reduced from 100% to 70%, which means the school successfully reduced the plastic waste by 30%. This improvement happened because students started using recycling bins more frequently and became more careful about their plastic usage. Student participation in recycling activities also increased from 40% to 75%. More students joined environmental activities such as recycling campaigns, classroom projects, and awareness programs organized by the school. Many students also began separating plastic waste correctly instead of throwing everything into normal rubbish bins. In addition, recycling awareness among students improved greatly from 35% to 8%. Students gradually understood the negative effects of plastic pollution on the environment and realized the importance of building sustainable habits in daily life. Awareness posters and environmental campaigns played an important role in encouraging students to become more responsible. These results show that the strategies were effective and helped create better environmental habits among students. However, the school also found several areas that still needed improvement. For example, more recycling bins are needed in crowded areas, such as the cafeteria, because many students gather there every day. The awareness campaign should also be promoted more actively through posters, announcements, and school activities. In addition, regular monitoring and feedback are important to ensure long-term success. This stage is important because the ideal model encourages continuous learning and improvement instead of stopping after solving one problem. Through reflection and evaluation, the school can continue improving its environmental practice and create a cleaner and more sustainable school environment in the future.
My name is Luo Boyuan and my metric number is A198106. Today I will present the advantages and challenges of the ideal model based on our school plastic waste reduction case study. To to evaluate this slide, analyzing both its strengths and limitations help us understand this case study deeply and guides our future problem solving. Let's first look at the significant advantages we experienced. The first major advantage is that the ideal model provides a clear and systematic process. It forces our team to solve the problem step by step. In our case study, we follow the strict sequence of I for identify and D for define. We identified that the primary zone for plastic waste was the cafeteria. Then we defined the exact metrics, realizing over 500 plastic items were used daily, and only 40% of students recycle regularly. This systematic workflow successfully minimized human error. The second advantage is better decision making. Data and analyze helps the school choose suitable and impactful strategies. During the E stage, explore, we conduct a feasible analysis on multiple options, such as banning plastics, promoting reusable containers, or adding recycling bins, because data shows that over 70% of the waste was from the cafeteria. We made an informed choice. We prioritized installing more bins and launch awareness campaigns because our metric provided they had the highest feasibility. The third advantage is continuous improvement through the final stage. Look back and learn. When evaluating the results, we didn't just celebrate the 30% reduction in plastic waste. More importantly, the school honestly identified areas for improvement. We realized that while awareness improved, we still leaked through bins in crowded areas. This reflection allowed the school to formulate an upgrade plan for long-term success. Now let's shift to the challenges we encountered. The first challenge is the immense time and effort required to complete the entire cycle. The model demands patience to collect data and implement the plan. As shown in our project, we needed weeks to track waste source, monitor behavior, install bins, and implement campaigns. In a fast-paced environment, dedicating such resources to a single issue can be difficult, making this model less suitable for sudden crises that require the immediate responses. The second challenge is the difficulties in changing student habits. A systematic framework can optimize infrastructure, but it can't automatically control human nature. Even with brand new recycling bins and clear poster, some students still stubborn prefer single-use plastics for convenience. Habits formed over many years cannot be easily wiped away by a short campaign's solution. The final challenge is that continuous monitoring is needed to maintain the results. The school needed regular feedback and evaluation to ensure old habits do not snap back. If the volunteer team or management stops checking the bins and collecting weekly feedbacks, over 30 reduction will easily disappear. In conclusion, although the ideal model requires time and effort, it remains an incredible effective framework for solving problems systematically. It successfully turns chaos situations into structured action plans and afford us to learn through continuous reflection.
Model is a systematic and practical framework for solving problems. So our case study, we can see that a model helps people identify problems clearly, develop suitable solutions, and improve decision making step by step. Model also encourage reflection and continuous improvement, which makes it effective in real-life situations. Overall, the ideal model helps people become better problem solvers through continual learning and reflection.
Yeah, hello everyone. So for now, I would like to expand on the summaries given by my group members. So based on the conclusion, the ideal model is a useful framework for solving the problem. It's a clear and organized way. It provides a systematic process, which means people can solve the problem step by step instead of the making decision without planning. By following each stage from the identify the problem to look by and improving, the process becomes easier to understand and more effective. Another important point is that the ideal model is a very practical. It can be applied in the real life situation and case study, such as the example of the reducing plastic waste in school. This shows that the model is not only a theory, but a soul method that can help solve the every problems. Whatever the issue related to schoolwork or daily life, so the same price can be used to find the suitable solution. So the model is also reflective because it encourages people to look by their acting and learn from the results. Reflection helps people understand what worked well and what could be improved. This makes problem solving and continue learning process rather than just a one-time action. Over time, the people can develop stronger thinking skill and become more confident when facing a new challenges. Finally, the IDEAL model is effective because it helps people make better decisions and solve the problem successfully by combining the local thinking, practical action, and reflection. It supports both learning and improvement overall. So I want to say the IDEAL model helps people become the better problem solvers through the continuous learning and reflection. Thank you. Okay, everyone. So eventually, I think for now, me and all of my group members already finished their part, and like you see here, it's our references part. So just based on our case study. So based on this, I want to say finally, we hope the presentation has to help everyone better understand the how ideal model works in the problem solving, I mean the IDEAL model. So through the case study on the reducing plastic waste in the school, we can say that the IDEAL model is not only a systematic, but also the practical and effective in the real life situation. So it helps people identify the problem clearly, analyze the situation carefully, explore the different strategies, and continuously improve through the reflection and evolution. So in today's world, problem-solving skills are become more and more important in the education, work, and daily life. Every day, people face a different kind of problem and challenges, so have a clear and logical way to solve the problem is a very valuable. So compare the make impulsive decision. The IDEAL model encourages people to think more clearly before the take action. So just like I mentioned before. So this can help reduce mistake and improve the quality of the decision. So besides that, the model also encourages teamwork, communication, creativity, and critical thinking. So these are important skills not only for students but also for the future careers and real life situation. Another important thing we learned from the presentation is that solving the problem is not only about finding solution quickly. It is also about understanding the cause of the problem, learning from the experiences, and improving continually over time. So even though the IDEL model may require the time, effort, and careful analysis, it is still a very useful framework because it provides clear steps that help people solve the problem more effectively. So through our research and case study, we also realized that the small action can create a meaningful change when the people work together and flow the system process. So we believe that the IDEAL model can help the individuals and organizations become better problem solvers and make more thoughtful decisions in the future, just like I mentioned everything before. And thank you for your time and listening for our today's presentation. Thank you so much.